What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and I decided I'm going to take a little trip down memory lane because I just set my PS2 back up. I did it just so I could play some GTA 3, I've been really feeling that, and I've got a good file in GTA 3 at the moment, at least on here. And I decided I'd just turn on the memory card browser and just see what's in there and compare some experiences, just to see what everyone else had. So we're going to leave that there. I'm just going to jump pretty much straight into it, and we'll see how it goes. So, let's see what's up. Wow, the very first screen is when you're greeted just by storage that couldn't even have it couldn't even be renamed. Non-renamable storage. How old school is that? So, I've got 3.1 MB left free on this. I thought I'd have a bit less, like I thought I'd be down at like under 1 MB, but these things had 1 MB or 8 MB storage on them as well. So we're just gonna go straight into the first one, which is Final Fantasy 12. So you'll see on this one actually 62 hours first off, okay? 62 hours on Final Fantasy 12. But one thing you're going to notice as well is that my Final Fantasy 14, my Final Fantasy 12 save file was last updated on the 25th of the 2nd, 2013. Now there's a reason for that. While I actually had Final Fantasy 12 for a good few years, I never actually played it, not even once, up until the start of 2013. I remember when 2013 was starting, I saw how many games were coming out that year, and I was like, wow, this is going to be a very, very barren year for new release titles and all for 2013. So I decided that I'd make 2013 one of my, well, at the time it would be my retro year, and I fit in a lot of old school games because there was very, very big gaps between all the new release games. So Final Fantasy 12 was one of the first ones I stuck in there. I don't think it was the very first one. I'm pretty sure I started 2013 off with Tales of Symphonia on GameCube. I'm pretty sure that was my starter one on that. But this, then I'm 99% sure I went to Final Fantasy 12 after that, and I played through the entire thing. I still remember playing it to this day, and it was just so good, so good at the time. No qualms about. Although there's so many people out there who regard Final Fantasy 12 as one of the best. It's not my favorite. It's still a very good game, but I can still completely understand why they see it the way they do. So we move on to the next one anyway and see what's on there. So Kingdom Hearts 2. Now I don't actually have much progress in Kingdom Hearts 2. Like I'm level 10, 5 hours, 20 minutes progress in it. And if you check the date on this one, it's last updated 29th of the 7th, 2008. That's shortly after I broke my leg. Broke my knee actually. In 2008. It was like a few days after it actually happened. And I remember I had just recently moved to my apartment, and all my big TV and my Xbox 360 and PS3 and all at the time were all in my apartment, and I had to move home temporarily to recover because I couldn't really take care of myself because I could barely move. And my old PS2 was still sitting around here, and because of that I finally got a chance to get started with Kingdom Hearts 2. I didn't actually get to play it too much back then. I couldn't really focus on all that stuff. I didn't have the mindset for it as much as I wanted and as much as I wanted to try. I got a lot more progress into 2.5 and 2.5 Remix on PS3. So that was a lot better. I can't remember much about the game, but it wasn't happening for me at the time is pretty much how it went. But I've got some pretty, even if it's not for Kingdom Hearts 2, I've got some epic Kingdom Hearts memories, as I'm sure most of you do. Wow, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. I have so many hours in this game, simply because, first off, it was a great game. Baldur's Gate was just great. The ports onto the PS2 and the Xbox 180, they were just fantastic as well. And one of the things that really made the game last so long, specifically for me and my friends, was that so many hours we put into that game multiplayer. We have so many ridiculous run throughs on it, farming for all sorts of crap, burning through stuff as much as possible. So many hours in there, and it's just so great because of it, and so many memories. 2006, still, like that's 10 years ago, and I can still remember walking through the town itself. I still remember fighting your way through the cellars and sewers. I still remember fighting your way out into the marsh and all as well, and the big like bone blood tower at the end. Spoiler alert, blah, but I still just remember all of that, despite being 10 years ago, because it's got so many good memories for me. And then SSX Tricky. I love SSX Tricky. I mean, if you have ever played any snowboarding games, SSX Tricky is definitely the way to go. Still never been beaten by any SSX game post Tricky. Tricky was just so ridiculously good. It was so much fun. The music was great, and it was so ridiculously over the top. And it made for so many ridiculous hours of just madness fun. Like I can't even think of a proper word. Like something like unadulterated just isn't a proper word for what Tricky would give you. It was just so much, I don't know, adrenaline fueled teen boner fun. That's the only way I can describe it. So good, so ridiculously good. Now here's a kind of an interesting one actually. Taito Legends, okay? That's like a compilation game of loads of the old stuff that Taito made back in the day. One thing about it is I actually only bought it for like 4 games on it. There's about 20 or 30 games on it, but I actually only bought it for 4 games because there was roughly 4 games, because I remember looking at the list and I was thinking, okay, I love that game, I love that game, I love that game. I'd love to be able to play these without trying to fight with an emulator or without trying to fight with my old Commodore 64, hoping it still works and all, and tapes and all this kind of shit. So I eventually bought it, and well, I bought it almost straight out. But if you're curious, the couple of games that I actually wanted on Taito Legends were Bubble Bobble. I love Bubble Bobble, original Bubble Bobble, not Puzzle Bobble. Puzzle Bobble was still decent. It wasn't. I don't think it was on there, but I bought it because of Bubble Bobble. Rainbow Islands, love Rainbow Islands from back in the Commodore days, just like Bubble Bobble. New Zealand Story, big fan of New Zealand Story from back in the day. I remember playing it on my Commodore 64, and I played it on my uncle's Amiga as well. And there was another game on there. I'm pretty sure there was 4 games on there that I really wanted. It escapes me off the top of my head. It wasn't something as simple as, I mean, we all know Space Invaders and all is on there. It wasn't something as simple as that. There was one other specific game to me. Can't remember what it was, unfortunately, but yeah, it is what it is. Now, Wild Arms Tree. This isn't actually my original Wild Arms Tree file. I can't remember. I lost it for some reason. I don't remember what it was. I think I was copying it to a friend's memory card so he could see all the cool shit I had or something like that. And like that, the power went out and I lost it, or so I can't remember what it was. That something similar to that resonates in my mind, but I don't remember what it was. So I do remember I had to restart it from scratch because my save file was corrupt. Luckily, it was only the actual Wild Arms save file, and it wasn't my entire memory card. But I do remember I had to start it or restart it, I should say. And according to this, I was level 17 with 5 hours and 8 minutes into it. But when you look at the date, last updated in November of 2005. That was a couple of weeks. That's like 2 weeks before the Xbox 360 released. And I remember that all my other games that I was playing at the time, I was playing some stuff on the PS2. I was playing a game called, I think it was Breakdown, or maybe Breakout, or Lockdown, or Lockout. It was a first person, like everything was in first person on the Xbox 180. I was playing that as well, and all my games just kind of suffered because I didn't want to invest too much into bigger games because the Xbox 360 was coming out, and I figured I would just move straight onto it. And because of that, my Wild Arms 3 save file is a piece of crap like this one. If I remember right, I don't believe I finished Wild Arms 3 even on the previous save file. I think I was like right outside the last dungeon on that save file. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I should go back and do it at some point. I probably will eventually. Shadow Hearts 2, Shadow Hearts Covenant, Shadow Hearts 2 Covenant. This game is awesome. It's an absolute, just the same as the first one, absolutely fantastic role-playing game. You definitely a must play for anyone who likes PS2 era role playing games. They are some of the finest, definitely. Shadow Hearts 1 and 2, easily some of the finest. The third one wasn't very good, but the first two, absolutely fantastic. I do wish it showed how much time I had in this file without actually booting the file up, because I would love to see how much I had in there. I do remember grinding so much near the end, because once you almost finished it, you unlock like all the extra side quests, and you unlock a couple of extra places to. I think you got everyone's best weapons and everyone's like best abilities and all that stuff from all of those. And I remember grinding some of them out, and it was just so good. I mean, look at the time updated on the file, right? The 29th of the 9th, 2005. Not really worried about that too much at the moment. But look at the time, 7:33 in the morning. That means I was up all night playing that game, grinding shit out, simply because it was that damn good. It was one of the times where I would just lose myself. I'd sit down and start playing at like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 at night, and I just completely lose myself into the game. And then before I realized it's 7:33 in the morning and I need to go to bed. Definitely a game series, even, if you will, that you just easily lose so much time, but it's just such well spent quality time. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, next up is the Metal Gear Solid 3 system. Well, this is just the system data, but there's something really weird about the Metal Gear Solid data. I've got two save files here. You've got the 002 and 001 there. Now, there's a reason for that. Is the main thing for that is I don't remember which one is which, but when you get to it, like when I saved it at a certain point, when I reloaded that game, like I think I just saved it and then I went, maybe I went and had dinner or something like that. And then the next time I turned it back on, the thing that was really big and strange about it was that you get into like it's kind of like a flashback sequence kind of thing, where it turns the game into a Devil May Cry style hack and slash mode, but everything is very different, and you're controlling the boss from MGS3. Obviously the character, the boss, not Big Boss or anything, the female character, the boss. You're controlling her, and you're in like what feels like a dream sequence, hacking and slashing everything around, and it's really different. And I couldn't believe what was going on when I loaded up my save file. So what I did was, when I completed that little part, and next time I saved it in a different slot, so I still had that previous save file, the one for the bosses thing. And then I ran up and I showed one of my friends. I was like, look, this is my MGS3 save file. This is fucked up. What is happening here? And it turned out that apparently the boss was, this came out much further down the line, apparently the boss was going to get her own spin-off game, which involved very different style gameplay, and this was kind of like a hidden teaser to that. Apparently, that's what all this was anyway. It never came to fruition, of course, but I kept the save file because of it. And for anyone wondering out there, if I remember off the top of my head, spoiler alert for anyone who's playing MGS3 or who hasn't played or anything. Again, okay, right? Spoilers. You've had enough time to turn the video down, or you've had enough time to turn it off, whatever. So once again, spoiler warning: is if you save it when you're in the torture chamber, in around when you lose your eye, and then load that save file up, that's when you get to do the whole boss thing. That's off the top of my head from memory, at least anyway. If you're really curious about it, I'm sure you can check it up on YouTube, or you can look up something online. At this point, the internet is way better nowadays than it used to be. So I'm sure you can check up the exact way to save it and trigger that to make it happen if you wanna test it out yourself. And then the good old San Andreas save file, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. So much time in San Andreas as well, just like all the others, really. Just like all the other GTAs, I should say. But I do remember San Andreas lasted me so long. When like the Xbox 360 and all came out, I was still sticking with San Andreas. I did have it on Xbox as well. I had it on I had that collection where, if I remember right, it had GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. And I did eventually move over to that one as my main platform. back then space was a premium, you know. TVs had very limited inputs, and just it was very limited. So I just, unless I wanted to play one or two specific things, all the multiplats would be all on one thing. And I do remember I was mainly focusing on my original Xbox, my Xbox 180 at the time, because so much Halo, be it Halo 1 and 2, just so much Halo at the time. And then, you know, you could get San Andreas on both, all that. So that was all focused on that one really and all as well. Now, Ring of Red. Ring of Red is a really, really great game. I wish they made like more of them and all without fucking it up. But if you're like, well, before I even get it, if you're a fan of, what would we call them, tactical turn-based games, like if you're a fan, these are the best comparisons I can make. If you're a fan of the Advance War games, if you're a fan of the Fire Emblem games, if you're a fan of anything like that, you know, if you like the Fire Emblem games, well, I think I just said Fire Emblem, didn't I? Advance War. If you're a fan of the Advance Wars games, the Fire Emblem games, yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like that kind of stuff, if you like that kind of gameplay, even the early front mission games as well, Valkyria Chronicles, if you like that, if you're a fan of all that style of gameplay, Ring of Red is definitely for you. Fucking brilliant game, absolutely love it. It's a real World War II. It's set in like World War II, and it's got the turn-based tactical mech combat aspect, as well as the actual, well, I won't call it that one turn-based. The actual live fighting version, if you will. Again, think Valkyria Chronicles. It's similar enough to that. And Ring of Red is just a brilliant game. It's a brilliant series. Definitely worth trying if you ever get the chance, if you're a fan of that style of gameplay. Actually, you know, it's been over 10 years. I might do a playthrough of that. I just thinking back to it, while I'm waiting for Fire Emblem Fates, this might be a good stopgap. I had a good old Final Fantasy X save file. This one has so many memories for me. 153 hours 47 minutes. That's not including like all the times you know, you die and have to restart it and all that. I do remember. The funny thing about this is I actually remember why I've saved it in the Calm Arena. In the Calm Arena, once you're done post game, you know, the Calm Arena is where you farm stuff. It's where you're farming your orbs, because what I was doing was I have everyone around the grid perfectly. I have everyone around the sphere grid, and what I've done is I've maximized every empty space, you know, to put on whatever specific. It's like I have everyone around every space. And then it's like, okay, I looked at people's stats. It was like, right, this person is lacking on this stat. I'll put down, you know, whatever amounts of things they need that I don't gimp everyone else, that they can still boost their stats with it. So I was farming all that stuff. I think, if I remember right, I was farming Shinryu, the guy underwater. He was really easy to kill if you did it properly. And I'm pretty sure I was just farming Shinryu at that point for... Jesus, how do I even remember it's Shinryu? That's madness. It just talking about it just comes back so natural. That just goes to show, you know, how much time, and I was farming all that, and it's so worth it. Final Fantasy X, such an amazing game, and such absolutely 154 hours of just wow. That's all I can say. So I'm going to skip these next two, simply because one of them is just like the generic network access disk save file, and the other is just my own personal configuration out of it, so there's no point in leaving that one on. But what I will see is we jump straight to the next one, and that's Shadow Hearts. Now this is the clear data, so for some reason I can't remember if you could save it after you finish Shadow Hearts 2, but I know you could for Shadow Hearts 1, hence the clear data. And everyone definitely needs to play Shadow Hearts. If you like role-playing games and you're familiar with the quality of role-playing game in the PS2 era, this is definitely one of the games to check out, simply because it's one of the more overlooked, but definitely one of the better ones. Must check out, if you ask me. So next up is Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. Now, for some reason I would have thought Budokai 1 and 2 would have came up first. I'm 99% sure I had a save file for Budokai 1 and 2 and not just the third one. I don't know, we'll see in a little bit. Maybe they're further down in the list and off screen at the moment. I can't remember, but I'm 99% sure I had Budokai 1 and 2 save data as well. Budokai, well, just 1, 2, and 3 really, were, at the time, it was very hard to get a good Dragon Ball Z fighting game, and Budokai, well, successfully made all that happen. And one of the things I really, really loved as well, if I remember correctly anyway, was you could buy all the capsules, like from Capsule Corp and all. I can't remember if you could buy new moves and new skills and things with them. I don't remember that. But I want to say you could buy like character profiles and character bios and portraits and artwork and stuff like that. If I remember right off the top of my head, it's been, well, according to this, it's been over 12 years since I actually got the chance to play it last. But I think I used to love the collection aspect of it, and I think all that stems from back in the day when I used to play Pokemon. I used to play Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, all that stuff, as well as just like collecting Pokemon and all the games I play and shit as well. I think it all just stems from there, from way back in the day, and just across all the different types of games. Wow, Killzone. Not so much. I'm not so much impressed, if you will, but I'm not sure. I'm not so much surprised that I've played Killzone. I remember playing and loving the first Killzone game, but unfortunately that didn't transfer over to Killzone 2 and 3. But the thing that surprised me about this save file was that it gave in my file nickname at the time. Now, not because it's shown up on the video, that's not what I'm surprised about or anything like that, but the fact is, it really shows that at different points in my life and all that, I went by different nicknames and all, and the fact that it just looks back to a point in 2004 where I was using that as my nickname is just, you know, that's what other people knew me as and all, so that's what I went by. And it's weird to see that 12 years ago that just pop up on the screen just like that. It's madness. Great game though, Killzone. Love the first one. Love some of the stuff in the first one. However, the second one is its own whole rake of problems, especially when they all showed it off, and then they lied about the graphics, and then it came out with the much considerably lower actual graphics, and I still remember that demo, and that was the killer point for me. Played a bit of Killzone 3, at least the demo anyway. Wasn't happening for me at the time, wasn't enjoying it, but Killzone 1 was really, really good at the time. Now, Mega Man X7. If I'm completely honest about this is kind of where I started losing interest in the Mega Man X series, simply because if 7 off the top of my head was the one I'm thinking of, that is where the Mega Man X series started going full 3D, and I wasn't a fan of how they handled the 3D gameplay. 3D gameplay can go really, really well. For example, if you look at, say, Sonic Adventure, Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, just to name a few, 2D games can transfer over to 3D games if done correctly. If I remember from what I taught, again, you're looking at this, it's 2004, it's been 12 years. If I remember all this correctly, Mega Man and Capcom didn't transfer across so well, unfortunately. Now, here's one with a sad and, well, I don't even know what other words to use. It's a sad story, but it also has a divine retribution at the end of it. So, my friend bought Disgaea, the first one. I think it's pronounced Disgaea, I can't remember. My friend bought the very first one on PS2 back in the day, and he loved it, and he loaned it to me, and I played through it, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's a shame I wasn't the biggest fan of the rest of the series after the first one. I know a lot of people are probably going to slam me for saying that, but some of them are okay. It just wasn't nowhere near as good as the first one, if you ask me, from what I remember at least. But anyway, I got so much done in my Disgaea file because my friend who owned the game at the time, he lives in the next town over, and he's always lived in the next town over, and he'd only come over every weekend. So he loaned me the game for the entire week. So naturally, I had it for the entire week. I had so much time to put into it, and I got so much done. I finished the game like twice, and like the entire story mode twice, and I just got so much done. One of our other friends at the time as well, he actually got really jealous because he was really shit at it, and I was just so much better. Like, I did so much. I did all the crap, and he could barely grasp the basics. And one day when we were all up in one of the guys' houses, and I went to the bathroom and I came back, and just as I was walking back into the room, I saw him delete my file. Like, I saw him deleting my save file on my actual memory card. So naturally, I ended up having to do some serious bodily harm to him. There was some punches thrown, there was some kicks thrown around. That he may or may not have even been temporarily choked out a little bit with the PS2 controller cord. But yeah, anyway, you fuck with my save files, divine retribution is your comeuppance. Anyway, don't think I've talked to him like since then because he's a piece of shit, and yeah, that's just a load of bullshit to happen. So fuck that guy. That's all I can say. Yeah, and that's why I think I started up Disgaea again shortly after to try get all my stuff back to where I was and then beyond. But I just remember being so disheartened, I think it was, when I just turned on the game, and it saw that I had no save file, and I was just like, I can't be bothered starting from zero again. And I'm pretty sure that's why I'm have this shitty little Disgaea file in front of me, unfortunately. Timesplitters 2, this game is ridiculous to me, absolutely ridiculous. I love Timesplitters 1 and 2, not a big fan of Future Perfect, but the amount of time I put into Timesplitters 2 over the course of, Jesus Christ, I don't even remember how long I had it, but just the entire time, after playing Timesplitters 1, I knew I had to get Timesplitters 2, and the amount of absolute fun you have in this game, be it in both the story mode, as well as like the level creators and just the team deathmatch and all against bots, absolutely ridiculous. It's unrivaled. Timesplitters 1 and 2 are basically unrivaled. They were the GoldenEye of the PS2. I'm not going to say of the PS2 era, but they were the GoldenEye of the PS2 when it comes to like local multiplayer and all that. It's just, there's no words. There's no proper words to describe the amount of time and fun I've had in that game. Those games even. There we have it, DBZ Budokai 2. I knew I had it in there. There's not much to say about Budokai 2 that I haven't already said about Budokai 3, so it's pretty much the entire same deal as before. Great game, and when all the collection aspect is what really got me too. And there's Budokai 1 as well. There's no point in me talking really about Budokai 1, simply because it's exactly the same of everything I've said with Budokai 2 and 3, just so far as well. Now, Disgaea 2 Duel Saga. This is actually a pretty good game, especially if you... Well, how would I describe it? If you're very methodical and you do a lot of that kind of stuff, in the way you do stuff yourself, is because when you were doing your attacks and all in game, you can actually basically enter your own combos, and you enter them by doing different directions in your combos. And if you did specific combos and specific directions and all, you'd unlock new technical abilities and technical skills and all that as well, which came out really handy if you were very, very methodical about it and not just smashing the keyboard, or not the keyboard, smashing the D-pad everywhere, but it would come in really handy, and you could unlock some cool shit with your characters based on whatever you do and their level and all as well. I've got some serious amount of time in this. I don't think I finished it. I'm pretty sure I was near the end, but I should really go back and finish it at some point. Simply because, I mean, I'm that close to the end. Although I wouldn't remember anything by now. Maybe I'll start it again, do a playthrough of that. So let's see what we've got loading up on the next line anyway. Well, it looks like it's the last line, and I've got some. There's definitely some classics here. We're starting off with GTA 3. Granted, this is this game is the reason why I have my PS2 connected up right back now. I was in a really good mood to play GTA 4 the other day. I have some footage of that, which you've seen in like one or two of my videos now at this point. And I decided, I'm going to boot up my GTA 3 save file as well. It was a perfect opportunity to use my new component cable for my PS2, and it's just so many good times in GTA 3. Again, I know I've said it with so many games in this video at this point, but I have literally so many just fantastic memories and just so many good times with GTA, and I've spent such a ridiculous amount of time in the game that I can't accurately convey it in words, at least anyway, to get my point across with just how much sheer enjoyment that this game and this particular save file has brought to me over all this time. Now, I barely remember playing Def Jam Vendetta. I mean, I literally barely remember it. I do remember I'm a big fan of old school rap music, and I do remember playing a Def Jam game at some point. It may have been Def Jam. Apparently, it was Def Jam Vendetta. But the only thing I remember about it at all, I don't even remember like any of the fighters that were in it except for one. I'm pretty sure this was the one where Snoop Dogg was the final boss, and that's literally all I remember from Def Jam Vendetta. So I mean, I can't really talk too much about it. I can't really say if it was good or bad or not. Apparently, it must have been decent enough for me to actually keep on the memory card. But the only thing I remember is at some point in my life, I played a Def Jam fighting game with Snoop Dogg as the last boss. That's all I remember. Now, Kingdom Hearts. This is Kingdom Hearts 1. I do remember my save file in Kingdom Hearts 1 is absolute beast. It's basically 100%. It's basically perfect and flawless. I have everyone's ultimate weapon to the point where I remember just going along and farming all the random crap up in farming for the weapons and all as well. That's including to the point where you had to go to one of the special places in the cemetery, and you needed to kill like a certain rare monster that would only appear every so often, and you had to hit him with a certain amount of a minimum amount of combo hits, and you had to all do that in a real short period of time without breaking the combo. Otherwise, he just warp away. And even if you managed to kill him with all the certain amount of time and a certain amount of combo hits and all that, that was just for a chance for him to drop one of a certain item, and you needed several of these items to actually start crafting one of the ultimate weapons and all as well. And it was just I've put so much ridiculous amount of time in it. I've done everything off the top of my head that I can remember. I found all the Dalmatians. I've basically made like the perfect gummy ship. If I remember right, you could only make one ultimate weapon, and then because you had to do like certain crafting or something like that, and everyone else could get their next ultimate weapon to it. I had all that done. I got to the point where I could beat one of I think it was the giant or the Colossus or something from, I think it was Hercules. I could beat him without being hit. I got to the point where I could farm Sephiroth without getting touched at all. So much ridiculous amount of time in this game. Again, so many great late nights, so many memories. Just, it's what you'd expect from the PS2 era games at this point, to be honest. If you've played Kingdom Hearts and you liked it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I'd argue I'm saving the best for last at this point, but to be honest, it wasn't up to me. All the stuff on the memory card just loaded in whatever order it felt like loading in. And because of that, it put in Timesplitters, the first Timesplitters, and the game save for Timesplitters. And out of every game on this memory card, including GTA 3, including San Andreas, including, God, what else have I got on there that's got a ridiculous amount of time? I don't know, Shadow Hearts 1 and 2, Ring of Red, including absolutely all those games. Final Fantasy X is in there as well. Like that game, I think I had 160 hours in that. Out of all the games on this memory card, Timesplitters easily has the most amount of time played in any one of those individual games. Simply because there's just too much to do. Absolutely too much. I've said it before when I was talking about Timesplitters 2. The Timesplitters 1 and to an extent 2 as well are just the golden eye of the PS2, and the amount of time I've put into Timesplitters 1 just reflects that. I've no words. I've just absolutely no words about what I can do, and you know what I could talk about with how much just perfection I got into Timesplitters between the campaign and the bots and all that. I played so many matches just with friends versus bots, sometimes just versus bots just because I was bored, and it's I can't even get words out here. It's just too absolutely phenomenal, and it's choking me up really just thinking about it right now. I'm if anyone out there watching this video has played Timesplitters, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know the GoldenEye levels of just amazing that this game had, and I'm sure you're right there with me, just being all choked up just about it. It's phenomenal. It'll be a real shame if Crytek, because Crytek have the Timesplitters license at the moment. It'd be a real shame if Crytek made a sequel, Timesplitters 4, because Crytek usually make shit games. They make graphically great games and their engine is fantastic, but the actual gameplay and all of their games is usually extremely poor, and that's the last thing I'd want to see in a Timesplitters game, at least to the way I see it anyway. But that's just my opinion. But the last thing I want to see is a series get ruined by some shitty gameplay, especially when it would have been fallen from such absolutely elevated levels of grace in my own personal views. So that's basically it for everything that's on here. We'll take a quick look at the network configuration. Nothing important there. A quick look at the network access disk as well. Nothing important there too. We'll do a quick system config check. Last updated on the 9th of the 1st, 2016. That would have been a few minutes ago when I turned it on and changed all the component cable settings. So that's basically pretty much all that is. We're going to take one quick look over like all the rest of the stuff on here just for shits and giggles, just while I have it here. PlayStation driver, I'm pretty sure you can improve. Well, you can improve this with all the smoothing and stuff, but I'll just turn it on, just turn it better for the laugh. But I do remember that. Oh, what's this? Oh, diagnose. No, I do remember that you needed to do it every time anyway. So we'll see what else we have in here. Clock adjustment. It actually kept the clock adjustment for the entire time. Screen size full. That's just for aspect ratio and all that. But it actually kept it the entire time when I was turning off. Digital output, component video. That's what I changed a minute ago. Remote control function, language, English, and back to the clock as well. So it's pretty much everything covered. So that's pretty much everything. We've looked through absolutely everything on the memory card, a couple of random other things in there that weren't important. So basically, let me know if this, set off any nostalgic memories for you and your previous history with the PS2 and some of the many amazing games and great experiences you've probably had the entire time. So let me know all that in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter. Details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.